At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, as we are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. This show, as always, is brought to you by DraftKings. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard here with a banger lined up for you over the next 3 hours. Julian Edlow on today's NBA card in 30 minutes. Jeff Seeley, best bets at the American Express Golf Tournament. And Arash Markazi covers the LA sports scene and the Las Vegas sports scene. We'll ask about Jim Harbaugh potentially going to the Chargers as their next head coach. So Super Bowl exactas, throughout the season, they're not posted everywhere, but once they do a little bit later on in the season, they're becoming more popular to bet on from a lot of people, and I don't blame you. You want to take some shots. I went back and looked, Pauly, yesterday at how often, because I think we have it in our heads, like the one seeds make it a lot to the Super Bowl. Well, that's been more of a case lately, as it has been like throughout the history of this event. But last year, of course, we got the two number ones, Chiefs and the Eagles. In 2022, the year before that, when the Super Bowl was in LA, we had a 4 versus a 4. Both one seeds were knocked out in the divisional round. Bengals got the Titans, 49ers got the Packers. In 2021, it was the 1 versus the 5, KC and Tampa Bay. In 2020, we got the 1 versus the 2, San Francisco versus KC. In 2019, we had a 2 versus a 2. You have to go back to 2018. It was the last time before last year where we had a 1 versus a 1. That was Philadelphia and Nick Foles against New England. And then in Super Bowl 50, it was the Broncos and Panthers. Each were a 1 seed. Same with Super Bowl 49 and Super Bowl 48. So we had it 3 years in a row. But from Super Bowl 26 to last year, it's only happened 8 times. That's it.
Yeah, the history of the 1 seed coming out of the NFC is bad. That's another one.
Uh-huh.
But also, for years, and we've been doing this for 6 years on the network, we used to talk about the second round stink bombs. That's now changed a little bit. It hasn't happened, but now you have the 2 seed that doesn't get the bye as they change the format. But you went back for 20 years, and there always was somebody off the bye, 1 or 2 seed, laying a big number that would lose.
Always.
And 15-1, 14-2, 13-3. Didn't matter. They even got Tom Brady one year. They were 14-2 and lost to the Jets as the 1 seed. So that has gone away, but it certainly changed with the format. And, there's a lot of kooky stuff here. But I know here at Circa, yesterday it got as high as plus 140, the no on San Francisco-Baltimore. Mm-hmm. So will San Francisco and or Baltimore win the Super Bowl? And the no was plus 140. That came down about 15 cents.
Did you take some of it?
No, but it moved. I looked. I was on air, got off air.
That was the move for you.
And it moved, I know. So you have that as well. So this is just fantastic now that we're getting into this, the history. There's a lot going on, the exactas, and we're down to 8 teams, and we got a couple big point spreads. But you can't, based on what happened since November and all the talk we had on this show about Survivor, you can't tell me you chalk's going to get there. I mean, expect the unexpected now, right, especially the last 3 months of the NFL season.
Now, again, and I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because we no longer have both teams, the top 2 seeds, getting a bye week in the playoffs. This is only the 4th year now where we've had 7 teams make it, meaning only the 1 seed is going to get that bye week. And so far, again, in those first 3 years, last year was the only year that we had both ones get there. The year before, it was the 4 versus the 4, and the year before that, when Tampa Bay made it, they were the 5 seed when they went to eventually play at home, basically, and they beat KC, and they killed them in that game. But so what will that bye week mean the longer this plays out, the more sample sizes we get? Like in 20 years, if we're talking about this down the road, has it been like 13 out of the 20 years the 1 seeds get it because that bye week for only 1 team is such a big deal? We don't know, but over the years in general, it's been total chaos. You're exactly right with that, and I can't believe that. So in the history of the 1 seeds getting there again, when you go back and look, early 90s, Super Bowl 26, Redskins, Bills were each the 1 seed. Super Bowl 28, Cowboys, Bills, they were each the 1 seed. Then you had to go from Super Bowl 28 all the way to Super Bowl 44 before it happened again.
It's shocking because
that was Saints-Colts.
If you're the 1 seed, all you got to do is win 2 games, and in the first game, you're a big favorite.
That's right.
So it's wild.
When the more people you talk to and you bring up on the show and you talk to people off the air as well who are pros at this stuff and they've been doing it for a long time, I've really heard a stronger case made that both 1 seeds like that this is the year. Like there's such a big difference between San Francisco and the field in the NFC.
Yeah.
This is not me talking. This is like responses that we've gotten.
Yeah.
And they're also super high in the Ravens.
That's how I feel. This is like was it the COVID year when Gonzaga and Baylor were so good in college basketball, and the separation and the gap between those, and they met in the title game.
They did.
And Gonzaga almost went undefeated. That would be that. It feels like this. Look what San Francisco did against everyone other than that stretch where they had guys hurt and Purdy was concussed. They destroyed Philadelphia. They embarrassed Dallas. They embarrassed Jacksonville. They embarrassed Pittsburgh. Every win they've had this year has been by double digits, but one. And that's the game the Rams kicked a field goal at the gun to put it on 7 with the nonsense by McVay. So they kill you, and then they go to work on you.
Let me ask you this. Are you concerned at all what you just brought up? Yeah, they blew out the Eagles. Yes, they blew out the Cowboys. Look at the way those 2 teams fizzled out.
No. If they struggled, maybe, but those games were over. 42-19, 42-10, whatever it was. They beat Tampa Bay by 2 touchdowns. I just think they're just a machine offensively. The one concern I would have would be Baltimore because of what happened, and it should be a positive in 2019. We've already seen it. 14-2, Lamar MVP, great team, unstoppable offense. Whoops, we come out flat, we turn the ball over, we get beat. Tannehill throws for 100 yards. How do we lose this game?
So then when you look at the Super Bowl exactas, you can go 49. This is at DraftKings. You can go 49ers over the Ravens. That's 4-1. You can flip it and go Baltimore over San Francisco at 5-1. If you don't think we're going to get those 2 teams, then you can start to move down the board a little bit more. For example, the Niners over Buffalo would be 8-1. What is the ultimate? Betting aside for a second here, and yes, the Super Bowl is going to be out in our backyard here in Las Vegas. What is your dream scenario Super Bowl? No bets influencing your take here.
San Francisco, oh boy. Well, living here, it'd be bananas if Bills Mafia came to town. As I tweeted, it's in play. Don't bet Bills Lions exacta. The world will come to an end. Right after the game is played. Can you
imagine that Super Bowl?
If it's Bills Lions?
Think about that for a second.
It is the highest rated game since the last Super Bowl was the Lions game. It is the highest price ticket for a divisional round game ever. They're losing their minds in Detroit.
How about the ratings on Sunday night for that game? 36 million people watched.
Yeah.
Again,
you're talking about Super Bowl numbers. The only thing topping it, is Super Bowl.
Highest rated ratings, or highest rated game, I should say, going all the way back to last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it helps. The storyline was awesome, and then it came down to the gun, basically.
Bills, San Francisco. Bills, Lions. San Francisco, Baltimore rematch part 2. Whatever you want. But just from just a nuts, oh my God, Bills Mafia, Lions. Yeah.
That's the game.
Someone's going to win a Super Bowl.
That's the game. I will say, I don't think San Francisco is a team from the NFC. I think there's a chance San Francisco could play in a pretty bad Super Bowl. Meaning that depending on their opponent in the AFC, they could run them out, and it could be 31-12 or 31-13.
Okay.
And they blow out their Is it possible for the Packers at this point to play in a bad game that's not entertaining? Not a great defense, and the way Jordan loves it. I think
maybe.
Now it's a total stretch, obviously.
Well, I think you're right. You're in the right area, Detroit.
That's another one.
Detroit they play crazy games.
See, this is what's wild about it, right? Because the Niners are so good. I think Detroit, I think Green Bay. Can Houston play in a bad game right now? Maybe Stroud would put up a stink bomb. But what are the chances that if KC gets there, it's a good Super Bowl again this year?
Yes.
They play in a lot of boring snooze fest, man.
I've had enough. And I know how the rest of the country feels. But imagine if we get stuck. Because I don't have a problem with it. I understand why they're doing it. But you watch a game and go on social media when the Chiefs are playing, and it's take the camera off her. I'm sick of this. It's enough. Stop showing the suite, all this. But can you imagine if the leading up and it's still Kelsey, Mahomes, Swift? Can they do it again? Repeat. It won't end. That'll be the other thing we have, and the perfect timing considering they play Sunday and the rule was changed because of it. We have the new overtime rule. Well, we haven't seen it because it didn't happen last year, where both teams get the ball because of what happened. 42-36. Bills lose to the Chiefs. If the game goes to overtime now, if you go down and score, I still get the ball. And if I might kick off now. I know what I need. I can then go for 2 in the win.
Right.
Or if I just score, tie, kick the extra point, then it becomes sudden death. So we get into that now, and everyone's talking about it because it was changed in March of 2000. I guess, what was it, 23?
Recently, a couple years ago.
Right, because after 22, right after that game. So, 22. So after that game, so that you have that. So there's so much going on here, even though we only have 4 games left.
Yeah, it could be like the Rose Bowl, right, when people were losing their minds. Why did Alabama not get the ball to start overtime? Because you want to know what the opposing team is going to do with the first possession in overtime. So whether or not you have to score. I do think the Lions, if they can get by Tampa Bay, I think if it's Lions, San Francisco, again, that can be a crazy enough game where it could be good weather outside, so Goff is not totally up against it. And with Dan Campbell as the head coach, I've seen crazier things happen.
I have no problem with Bills 49ers either. I think that'd be great.
That would be
any of those storylines. Even like now, Detroit Baltimore played and it was ugly.
Well, that's the thing. I think the Niners and the Ravens can both play in the Super Bowl and have the games could be over with at halftime.
They're so good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like there's that possibility.
Yeah.
Or the Chiefs can play in a 17-13 game, but we have it in our brains that it's going to be a shootout because it's Mahomes, and that's not who they are this year.
Yeah. And maybe Baltimore and San Francisco shut down the opponent. They can't do anything, and there's just run, chew clock. You look up, it's 20-3 in the fourth quarter.
We'll recap last night's betting action, and there was plenty of it. In win some, lose some, upsets galore, ranked teams getting chalking up losses to unranked teams. Pauly runs it down for you coming up next here on VSiN.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Good fun. Great videos and tweets coming up. Favorites last night in hockey, 8-0 straight up, including the Edmonton Oilers, who have won 11 in a row. Whew, what a turnaround. Incredible. They're playing great hockey. They covered the puck line as well, and they were losing in the third period. Favorites in the NBA went 3-0 straight up. The Winnipeg Jets do it again. Islanders had 2 goals early in the third period, but Winnipeg wins 4-2. 33 games in a row. They've held their opponent to 3 goals or fewer. The record's 44 by the Boston Bruins in the 1928-29 season. They've held opponents under their team total 21 in a row in regulation and 20 of 21 overall. 4-2 Jets. Come on.
And you like betting on streaks, yet you went the other way. You pulled a Costanza yesterday and went the opposite.
Yep.
Bad move.
Well, they had 2 early. At 14, 15 minutes to get another goal. Couldn't happen.
They lost. Yeah.
All right. St. Louis, 15.5 down to 11. Right side. Lost by 5 to Dayton. Syracuse money line plus 250. Beat Pitt. Penn State plus 250. Upset Wisconsin. Georgia plus 250. Beat South Carolina. Georgia Tech plus 525. Beat Clemson. Philly, Denver, over 223 up to 233. Went over. It was 78-78 at halftime. Thunder Clippers over. 226 up to 230. No, that was wrong. No good there. Subscribe, be part of the team, vsin.com. Our radio and podcast friends. You always want to see these tweets and videos. This is good. The Clippers have their new arena coming, and they had the press conference yesterday. The Inuit Dome in Inglewood, they're going to host the 2026 All-Star Game. This is a great job by Ballmer. They unveiled the wall, what it's going to look like. And it's 51 uninterrupted rows of fans. You cannot cheer for the opposing team. You cannot wear opponent gear. Tickets can only be resold in the Clippers marketplace. A season on the wall ranges from $5K to $25K. It's innovative. It's smart. They also say they can determine how long fans are standing up and who's cheering the loudest, and you get money off and discounts on memorabilia and merchandise.
So bonuses if you're like a really good fan.
But this is nuts where it's 51 uninterrupted rows, and it's got to be all Clipper fans.
Right.
I can't wait to talk to Arash Markazi about this.
So think about this, and the opposing team's going to be shooting in that direction when the game is on the line.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to create basically a really strong college atmosphere in an NBA game.
Yeah.
I would ask, why is this taking so long?
Good point.
Love the idea.
Absolutely. How about this at the Indiana State game? We're on a nice run here. A guy did it for $100,000 at a Lakers game. That was his actual shot. This guy has to make a putt from the full-length court, from under the one basket to another. $10,000. He nailed it right down the middle. In your face. Tiger Woods couldn't even do that.
Now, this is great.
Yeah, right.
He has to split it right down the middle for $10,000. If it goes to the left or the right in one of those two holes, $100 gift card. Here's your consolation prize.
Sure, quite
set
the
of
difference.
steak knives.
Right. Oh, God. I can't believe it. That's the second time in a week that's happened at a college venue. Set of steak knives. Good. Look at that. He nailed it. Now, how about this? The other day at the airport, someone was waiting to get on their flight. They won $1 million jackpot on a slot machine. What would you do? It also was phrased, what's the first thing you would do by Las Vegas locally? I mean, if you don't even tell your wife. It's like, sorry, I missed my flight. I have to hang out. You're not getting on a flight.
No, that's the
You
first
just
thing.
won $1 million.
The first thing you do is you're right there. So you go up to the gate and you say, I need a flight tomorrow or the next day. I'm staying in Vegas for a couple of more days. That's the first thing that you do. And then you get on the phone to
You're on such a high.
whatever you do for a living.
Yeah,
And you're
right.
like, if they don't understand, then quit the job.
Yeah, right.
Right? They'll understand. If they don't, then that job's not for you.
Absolutely. A lot of people said, well, you upgrade to first class.
No,
you don't get on the
You're
plane.
going to leave? Come on,
Yeah,
what's wrong with
getting
you?
on the plane? Absolutely. Play a little roulette. Syracuse Pitt over, 143 up to 148. That was no good. Lose some.
Oh, this is bad.
This was lose some. This guy thinks he's on the team. 502. How about this from the Bills game? The guy went to the game dressed up as Josh Allen, like in full gear. Look at it. He's walking around in the parking lot. He's got the helmet on, the whole outfit in uniform. It's like just sitting like, well, it's so cold, I guess. You got the guy next to the camouflage. What war are you fighting in, buddy? But look at Allen here where he's walking. The guy's dressed as Josh Allen with everything on. Thinks he's on the team. This is phenomenal video. The guy can't believe it. The guy's sitting there in his house.
What is this, a billy goat?
It's a goat. A goat came in and fit through the doggy door, and the guy says over and over again, how did you do that? How did you get in there? That is built for my small puppy, my small dog that I have. And the other two goats are like, yeah, I'm with you. How did you get in there? And the goat's walking around the house. Look at these guys. It's like, how'd you do that?
Are you kidding me?
Did you look at how
Look
does
at him
he
squeeze through?
I can't believe. If you read up on it, apparently they can contort and do weird stuff with their bodies.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
know. But the goat fits through the small doggy door. The other two goats are like, I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, they're
and
like,
the
I can't
owner's
do
like,
that.
how'd you do that?
Yeah, did the goat watch the dog do this a couple times to know, like, that's the spot to go?
Yeah.
That's
you're
our
right.
sweet spot?
Sure. How would he even know I could?
Right.
Yeah, that works. Good point. Look at him. That's phenomenal video. Andre will put that up later at Pauly. At
It's also a
Pauly
little
Does
scary. Like, what can get into my house when I'm not paying attention?
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about it. Joey Chestnut. He's been on the show many times. Professional eater. He's the best. But I didn't even know. I put under loose some. He set another record. He ate 15 bagels in 8 minutes.
Right.
I mean, when I eat a bagel, number one, it takes a while. Number two, I have to put something on it and then have something to drink and wash it down.
Sure.
He knocked down 15 bagels in 8 minutes. He has a little water. I don't see cream cheese. I don't see anything. Maybe he could dunk it in the water. I don't know.
Now, I will fully admit that I could eat at ludicrous speed. It's ridiculous. My plate or whatever is gone in 30 seconds sometimes. it takes me probably thinking about it right now, top of my head, it takes me at least 4. It's so dry, and you got to chew it so often. How do you possibly put down one bagel in like a minute? He's doing one every 30 seconds.
I know. So, well, when you Google his record, the list, all the records he has, competitive eating, it's how could he eat this? How could he? It's nuts.
Yeah, that one I can't comprehend.
Bad beats, here it is. Kings money line. They were up 22 with 8 minutes left. They were up 113-96 with 5 minutes left. From the 8-minute mark on, they were outscored 32-8. Suns won. You covered with the 4, but the Suns won 119-117. Up 22 with 8 minutes. Everything has to go wrong. And it did.
By the way, in regulation.
Yeah.
So if you bet the Kings, the last thing on the planet that you wanted was overtime. Imagine losing that one ATS.
No kidding. TCU +3. You never want the dog in overtime since he got him by 4 in overtime. And go back and up the Thunder Clipper game, 226 up to 230.
Yeah.
My mistake, 220, and that won.
There were 2 unranked teams went off the favorite last night against ranked teams. They both won and covered. That was always a thing when I first moved out to Las Vegas.
Yes.
You had to know people that were like, hey, pay attention to this angle. Cincinnati won and covered last night. They're unranked. And the other one was K-State. They went out the favorite against Baylor. They won in overtime and covered.
Yes. If you're looking for a betting edge through the playoffs, we have you covered. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Access to the daily best bets with the leaderboard, who has the hot hand, the betting splits, the 24/7 video access. First 30 days, $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe. Sign up now.
All right, so we were talking about Super Bowl exactas in the first segment to begin the show today, and some books leave these up throughout the entire year, others don't. But if you pay attention, this is a message that I got during the first break that we had. Back in September, this person bet the Niners over the Ravens, Pauly, at 149-1.
Wow.
That was available back in September. He bet it twice.
This is also great to hedge if you have a couple tickets.
Yeah. Also,
once you get down to 4 maybe, or you can even get nuts and do it here if you have so many teams.
He took a swing at Niners over the Bills, 79-1. So you throw a little pizza money on those bets. So he's holding 2 tickets at 149-1. That's now the favorite on the board at 4-1. Wow.
Yep. You asked me how would I feel about a Houston Green Bay. I don't like it, but it's also with these 2 hot quarterbacks that you're in the 250-1 range there.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of like how would that game be boring?
Yeah, right.
I don't know how it would be. Barring an injury to either one of the quarterbacks, they're going to play in fun, entertaining games and probably go up and down the field on both defenses.
The 2 years Eli Manning and the Giants won Super Bowls, they were, I think, a 4 seed and a 5 seed. Oh. So they came out of nowhere and just got hot at the right time.
Sure. Yep. Now, these other years that we talked about, when the Rams did it as a 4 seed a couple years ago, remember the NFC was absolutely loaded. And you could have made a case for the top 4 or 5 seeds. The Niners were a 6 seed that year.
Yeah, beat Green Bay and Dallas, right?
And they were awesome. So this year, not exactly the case.
Yes.
Up next, Julian Edlow is going to join the program. He joins us every single Wednesday at this time. It's a loaded NBA card. We'll get his best bets, his take on player props as well. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Start your morning with a daily dose of winning strategies, insider tips, and the latest buzz with the free VSiN daily newsletter. Expert analysis and the latest odds delivered straight to your inbox. Absolutely free. Bill 80 tells you everything that's going on with the updated website, vsin.com/newsletter to subscribe.
We'll hit tonight's NBA card here in a little college basketball as well. Julian Edlow joins the program from DraftKings, and he also hosts the podcast called The Unreasonable Odds Pod that you can get wherever you listen to your podcast. Julian, thanks for the time. Funny the way this works, right? Because last night we only had 3 games in the association, but it was a great card with some really good games. Tonight it's a huge card, but it's filled with a ton of crap the way it seems because we have so many huge point spreads. And let's look at some of those games with massive point spreads and how you want to attack it. For example, the Spurs are on the road against the Celtics. Look around. Boston at DK, they're favored by 16. So what is your angle here with Boston hosting San Antonio?
Yeah, I'll be attending this one tonight. First Celtics game of the season for me. Figured I would go see Wembanyama. Excited about that, but I knew going to the game, what am I going to bet? Because this is going to be a whopper of a spread. And I'll just stick to, I generally take that first half angle on the Celtics at home. And then the decision becomes, are you going to lay the points or are you going to go to the team total? And this is the perfect one to go to the team total. The Spurs are one of the softer defenses in the NBA. They're in the middle of this long West Coast road trip. They've been doing decent recently, but they've played some cupcakes. They've failed to cover against the Hawks. I think they lost that one by double digits on Monday. And you got the Celtics, who are averaging well over 60 points per game in the first half at home. So what I will do, and we've talked about this on a lot of Wednesdays, the Celtics did slap together an injury report here. Derek White, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, all questionable. So this could shrink a little bit if two of those guys sit, call it, which might bring their team total down a couple points. So I'll see what the injury report looks like. It's not going to affect the team total first half too much one way or the other, and then back it when we have a final injury report. But you saw on like Saturday night, people were worried about Houston and Udoka and that defense and what they could do to the Celtics. They dropped 140 whatever. So Celtics at home against a bad team like this, I'm always fine going to the first half team total and leave it alone just in case they lay off a little bit in the fourth quarter.
All right. You've also been hot and heavy going back recent weeks here on this spot that we do every single Wednesday, and it's come through a lot. Pelicans laying a big number, but do you want to attack them with the first half again?
Yeah, I can't control that the Pelicans play every Wednesday and that I bet them every Wednesday, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. Here we are again. Pelicans are 15-4-1 against the first half spread at home.
Wow.
And then you have the Hornets, who are one of the worst first half teams in the NBA against the spread. They're 12-25 against the first half spread on the season. They're dinged up. No Hayward, no Mark Williams, which, at center, that's a big deal against a team with some size like New Orleans. New Orleans coming off a little bit of a dicey road trip. The game that they won, actually, they got smoked by Denver, and then they beat Dallas, but that was with sitting their starters.
Yeah.
Then they brought their starters back in Dallas again and lost that game without Luka. That was the game Kyrie and Tim Hardaway went bonkers. So they've lost 2 of 3, and they're coming home. I know it's the first game home off a road trip. That's a little bit dicey. Sometimes you want to lay off, but because it's the Hornets and they're so bad first half, and the Pelicans are kind of pressing because they've lost a couple games here, I do think this is one that New Orleans should have with pretty good margin in the first half.
How about some futures, and what do you think tonight on the Jazz? The Jazz are 5-1 at DraftKings to make the playoffs. They're plus 145 to play in the play-in, to participate in the play-in. They've been hot. Markkanen's been great. The question is, what happens at the deadline, February 9th, if they keep the team together? And also, they're playing tonight and laying a short number against a god-awful Golden State team.
Yeah, I'll start with tonight because I know what I want to do tonight, and I'm laying the 4.5 with the Jazz. This is we'll see what they do at the deadline. It'll be very interesting, but this is the best home team in the NBA. They're 16-4 against the spread at home. They're winning games by an average margin of victory of 8.4. They're covering on average by 9.7 points at home. So they've been great. And then you look at Golden State, dreadful. I played them first half against Memphis on Monday. That might be their rock bottom going in against that Memphis team. No Ja Morant, no Marcus Smart, no Desmond Bane. That's as bad as it gets. 7.5-point road favorites. They lost that game by 9. Got lost by double digits in Milwaukee over the weekend. They snuck in a win in Chicago in a decent spot. But it was last week when we spoke, New Orleans, Golden State. That was a blowout. Before that, they get mopped by Toronto. This team just does not have it. And you want to match them up specifically against Utah. What does Golden State struggle with? Size. What does Utah do? They play 2 centers at a time and throw more of them off the bench at you. I don't know how Golden State is going to do rebounding in this game, and how they're going to do in terms of foul trouble with how many bigs Utah can throw at you. So just from a trend standpoint of how good Utah's been at home and how good Golden State is, combined with the actual X's and O's matchup, I like this spot for Utah.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Julian Edlow, his podcast is called the Unreasonable Odds Pod. Let's go to college basketball tonight because we have a couple of home favorites laying around the same number. I was surprised to see Kentucky open up, and I like Miss State. I think they're pretty good, but Kentucky opened up 4.5 at Rupp, and the market agrees with that. That's now up to around 7, 6.5 or 7. And then UConn laying around that same number now tonight at home against a very good Creighton team. How do you want to tie those two teams together?
Yeah, so initially I was going to come on and give these two teams out at about -5, 5.5, but we're up over some I don't know if you want to say key numbers in basketball, but some likely landing spots, I guess, in that 5, 6, 7 range. So I'm just going to slap the two together on a money line parlay. It still pays pretty reasonable, and we're getting two really good teams here at home. Kentucky coming off that tough road loss at A&M in overtime on Saturday. That was one, I know the market screamed A&M. That was one I took Kentucky with the points, and it was right there. I did the same thing a week earlier when they were on the road against Florida. I'm high on this Kentucky team. I think they're going to come through in a lot of these road spots. But when they do take a loss on the road and they come back home, I'm going to be pretty confident in them in this spot. And Mississippi State is a good team, just completely different when you get them on the road. They've only played twice on the road this season. They lost at Alabama. They lost at South Carolina. So I think they're going to have a pretty tough time here at Kentucky. UConn Creighton is a huge game in the Big East, and Creighton's actually been pretty good on the road. They are 4-1 straight up in ATS on the road. That loss came a Saturday afternoon against Marquette. But UConn's just a different animal. I know they struggled some in Big East play last year, but this year they've picked it up for the most part and come through even when they don't cover with wins in a lot of these spots. So I just think overall talent-wise, this is going to be Creighton's toughest road game, and UConn just has so many bodies, so much talent that they can throw at you. Again, up over 5, I'm probably not going to lay it, but I'm confident they're going to win the game. So, little square, but two nationally ranked teams that we think could win it all, UConn and Kentucky, on a money line parlay for me tonight. All
right, one final game, final 90 seconds here. Rhode Island catching a big number, although it's come down a little bit on the road against St. Bonnie.
Yeah, so this one's on my radar. I'm a URI alum, so I've been following this team a little bit. They were not good. I was ready to throw this season in the trash. Awful start. Archie Miller has brought in all these mix and match pieces that weren't gelling at first, but the transfers are starting to gel, and they've had a few freshmen come into the lineup, some that weren't eligible at first, and make serious impacts. So after a really bad start to the year, they end non-conference play with a double-digit win over Northeastern as 2-point favorites. Then they start Atlantic 10 play 3-0 with all three wins as underdogs. They beat a good St. Joe's team as a 5.5-point dog, Davidson on the road as a 5-point dog, and then UMass in a rivalry game on Saturday at home as a 2.5-point dog. So this team has turned some kind of corner. They seem to have figured something out. St. Bonaventure solid, but they've lost 2 in a row as favorites. One is a 10.5-point against Fordham. So sure, it could be a little bit of a bounce back spot for them, but considering we're getting 8.5 here with the way that URI has kind of turned the corner here, I will gladly take that. They're going to lose at some point, but we're getting a lot of points here.
Very good. Again, his podcast is called The Unreasonable Odds Pod. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Julian, thanks for the time today. Best of luck tonight.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Good luck with the bets.
There you go. Julian Edlow with DraftKings. Good job.
What'd you get the Jazz to participate? 12?
It was 12-1, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Weston kicked that around with me, a guy in the cornfields a while back. And I'm just like, look, there's a good chance they're going to trade guys at the deadline, but I'll grab some of it at 12-1. And
plus 145.
That was the biggest risk, though, right? Is we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
We'll get into the best and worst NBA and college teams ATS and totals next.
DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. Great props are up already. We'll go over those coming up. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code Vegas. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Get the bonus code Vegas. Crown is yours.
I brought up two teams that were home last night, unranked, and favored over ranked teams that won outright and covered. Cincinnati got there against TCU. It went to overtime. That was very fortunate. K-State also went to overtime against Baylor. They won and covered. And you brought it up earlier. I forgot to put it in my grouping here. But it was also New Mexico, 99-86 over Utah State.
Yep.
Mountain West.
Laying 6 against a team that came in top 20 and only one loss.
Dare I say Mountain West might be a little dangerous in the tournament this year?
No.
Or do I not want to, other than San Diego State?
Right, yeah.
Okay. All right, here we go. Your weekly look at the best teams in the NBA and college hoops, ATSN with totals. Thunder, even after last night, 26-12-1, covering on average by 5. Why are they playing SGA? He was questionable 2 nights ago against LA, the Lakers. Played him in that game, played him in a back-to-back last night. He only had 19. What's the point? If the guy's questionable and you're playing a back-to-back against two teams on the West Coast, maybe it's okay to let him sit for one night.
Yep.
I'm just saying. Holmgren, not good last night. Oh, by the way, if you bet Chet at a nice plus price for Rookie of the Year, you can't wait any longer. If you want to come back now, you can't wait any longer to bet Wembanyama. That dude's playing out of his mind, and Holmgren had a bad game last night. So, just saying. I mean, Wemby got up to plus 150 in that range.
He's been great.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. I know. And the other thing is, it's just the NBA's got to do a better job. We're on a horrible run here where you have big-time marquee matchups, but it's a back-to-back scenario.
Yep. 76ers, 25-13 ATS. The Magic, 26-14. The Utah Jazz, 25-16-1. And they're playing at home tonight. Julian pointed this out. They are the best home team in the NBA, ATS. They are 16-4, and they are burying teams when they play at home. Pacers are 23-17-1. How about this now? They might get Siakam?
Yeah, they're talking. Now, I guess Siakam wants a long-term deal, but that would be, I read Brown, some 3 picks.
Yeah, 3 first-rounders.
Some cap stuff involved there. Yeah, that'd be wild if that happens.
God, the 76ers need to get a guy like Siakam. Mm-hmm. That's the guy.
I thought that's what happened.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
Pelicans also 23-17-1 on the year. There you go. The best NBA teams, ATS. As we flip it, worst teams, Hawks 10-29 ATS. Yeah, total disaster.
3-1. Yes, it is. 3-1 to make the playoffs now.
Suns 14-24-1. They did not cover last night. Again, crazy finish. Down by 22, 8 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. They came back at home to win in regulation.
How things change as well. With that loss, the Clippers now have a 3-game lead in the division. When we talked about it on air, and they were just starting to mesh and get chemistry was getting there, they were plus 550 to win the division. Clippers are now $3, minus $3 to win the Pacific.
Hornets 14-23, Pistons 16-23-1, Bucks 16-23-1, Grizzlies 17-23 against the spread. Now we get into totals. Best teams of the over. We have a new number 1 team. It's Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. They're 10 games over 500 to the over. They're 25-15. They're going over on average by 5.6 points per game.
What totals? 240, 250.
Yeah. Yep. Pacers 24-15-2. Pistons 24-15-1. Sixers are 23-15 to the over. Golden State 24-16. And the Hawks are 24-16 to the over. Best teams to the under in the NBA. The Grizz 24-16 to the under, staying under by 3.5 points per game. The Nuggets are 24-17 to the under. Clip Joint 22-16-1. Magic 22-17-1. The Miami Heat are 22-18 to the under, and the Blazers are 21-18 to the under. Now we go to college basketball. Looking at the best teams ATS. It's a long list, Pauly. So many teams here. Cal State Northridge 13-2 ATS, covering on average by 6.4 points per game. Troy is 11-2-1. Minnesota took money, as you pointed out yesterday, against Iowa. Could not cover. Now 14-3 ATS. Good old High Point, 11-3-2. Eastern Washington, 10-3-1. Arizona and South Carolina are 12-4. Monmouth, 12-4-1. Lipscomb and Radford, the same record at 12-4 ATS on the year. Your worst teams against the spread. UTEP 2-11-1. Pacific is 3-14.
Hey. ODU.
Yeah.
3-13. My God, and what has happened to Middle Tennessee?
I know it. Always a good mid-major, 3-13 ATS this year. Southeast Missouri State 3-11. Detroit 4-14. Arkansas Pine Bluff 3-9, and then 3 teams are 4-12 ATS: Arkansas, Missouri, and IUP UI. And Missouri was catching like 15 last night. They couldn't cover against Alabama. The best teams to the over: Arkansas Pine Bluff 9-2-1. Kentucky, every game they play is a shootout. What's that total going to be when they play Alabama? 175? They're 12-3 to the over. They're going over on average by 13 points per game, by the way.
Oh.
Market has not caught up yet.
Yeah.
Same thing with Niagara. They're 12-3 going over by that many points. Lamar 12-3. Then you have Northern Colorado, Denver, Wofford, Jacksonville 11-3. Iowa's 13-4. Our buddy Joe pointed this out over the weekend. He's been betting Iowa team totals over at home. He says they get to the 90s like every single game that they play.
All right.
Something to watch there. San Jose State 12-4 to the over. And then here's your list of best under teams in college basketball. Dartmouth 11-2. Middle Tennessee 12-3. Western Illinois 11-3. UCLA is 13-4. Wow, how this program has fallen.
Yes.
Really, really bad shape. And then Coppin State, Houston, Rutgers are all 12-4 under. Eastern Illinois 9-3-2. SMU 11-4. Notre Dame 13-5 to the under.
There's a lot going on in hockey, and the gift that keeps on giving. Again, the Winnipeg Jets bet the opponent team total under, but also the Ottawa Senators goal in the first 10 on the road. Yes, 16 of 17. First period over, 13-2 run. Goal in the first 10 overall, 16-2 run. First 10 at home, Seattle, 16-3. On the road, I mentioned Ottawa. How about Carolina, 13 of 14. Overall, Pittsburgh, 7 of 8. The Devils, 7 of 8. Florida, 6 in a row. The number one team ROI, the Vancouver Canucks now, up 9 units. This is risking $100, courtesy of Covers.com. Risking 100. Followed by Detroit, the Jets, St. Louis, and the Flyers. All in the 6 to 5 unit range that you're up. San Jose, worst ROI. This peekaboo. They've lost 15 to 16 now. Lost again. Lost 15 to 16. You're down 16 units. Minnesota, second worst, down 10. Toronto, 8 and change. Ottawa. And then the Islanders. First goal in the first 10, no. Winnipeg 21-7.
That makes sense.
And first period under Winnipeg, no. Under 12-2 rather. So thanks to Ian Duncan and Chris Otto and John Davis for all their great work that they do with everything. But that's your updated hockey numbers as well. You want to get nuts? A little third period. Detroit over 13 in a row. Ottawa again 15 of 16. We're going 1.5 goals. Easier for bookkeeping. And Dallas 10 in a row. That's all third period overs in the third period.
Yeah. How about to win the Vezina, by the way, because of this crazy
Where?
run they're on?
Oh, he's got to be $3.
Hellebuck is plus 180 still.
That's what?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Your boy, Thatcher Demko, 3-1 is behind him.
Really?
And Swayman is plus 550 at DK today. But I think you're right. How does Hellebuck not turn into a $5 favorite soon?
They give up 1-2 goals every game.
That's it. Every single game, it's the same thing.
And they keep winning.
It's now, everybody's talking about how it's
this is not the New Jersey Devils with the neutral zone trap and the crap they were running and ruining hockey back in the day, and everything was 2-1, 1-0. I mean,
we're talking.
There were totals of 4 when they played.
They're on a historical run right now.
Yeah.
Right? So that's got to come into consideration as well.
That's outrageous.
I think maybe if he was on another team and it was like, East Coast or whatever, maybe I'm wrong with that, but he'd be shorter than what he is even right now. He was plus 330 last week. And it was like at 25 when we talked about it. So he's only dropped down not even that much, to be honest. And we're coming up now on the halfway point of the season.
That's a good bet. It's a good catch.
Also, did you want to clean that up or add something more with the overtimes?
Yes.
In the NFL?
Another reason, too, why they changed it. Since 2010, there have been 12 playoff overtime games. The team that won the toss is 10-2.
Yeah.
That was another reason they did it in March of 2022. Also in Lake Kansas City, won it right down the field, 42-36. So maybe it doesn't even happen, but it's something to consider and look at now that we have these games coming up again with the new overtime.
I mean, I like it. I think they had to tinker.
Yeah.
do something about it.
Now you can't complain. Now everyone's happy. You guaranteed both teams touch the ball.
Up next, we'll discuss the American Express tournament on the PGA Tour with Jeff Seeley. Outrights, top 20s, matchups, maybe some other crazy exotics. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.